Hello, good morning. I wanted to make a couple days out update on some thoughts that I've had on the situation with Steve. I updated in my last video kind of how everything played out, so I will link to that, and then I will also put the link in that video that I said I was going to put in, that I forgot to do, but so I've gotten a lot of comments on my video since then that essentially this was like a user error type problem. So there's been a commitment issue between me and Steve this whole time, and so I'm expecting that to continue, or I see him as a commitment phobe or whatever, and so he's showing up that way. And I have to tell you, this channel for me is about my experience, and it's not about theory for me. What I'm trying to do is apply the same type of to apply the same type of thing that I used to get successful in other areas to this. And one of the things that I often see that I think maybe people don't understand, or maybe people are misinterpreting, is the idea that you have to absolutely deny reality. That's never been a part of anything for me. Acknowledging what the 3D situation is for me in no way impacts its potential future. You know, when you're absolutely destitute, you don't, at least I don't think, you get from being destitute to being well off by pretending like you're not destitute in reality. In your mind, you can know with certainty that the situation is temporary. You can, visualize a different future, and you can definitely spend a lot of time imagining what that different state feels like, and then sort of taking that with you back into the 3D. That, I think, has a very real impact on how things move forward in that situation. But one thing that I've never seen as being a part of any of it is not calling a spade a spade. Maybe some people need to do this. Maybe this is a part of it. Maybe it's useful. I don't know. It's just never been a part of my experience. So for me, when looking at a situation that I'm trying to advance, or that I want to be different in the future, what I have never seen any point in doing is pretending like the current situation is something different than what it is in reality right now. Looking at my finances when, say, I had $500 in the bank and nothing else, I didn't look at it and say, oh, there's actually $100,000 in there. If I acknowledge that there's actually $500 in there, then I'll never get my $100,000. Like, that just doesn't, that's not how things work for me. So in the situation with Steve, which again, isn't over. I don't know what is going to happen. Speaking from my 3D human current, conscious self, I don't know how this plays out. That's not part of it for me. It's not deciding the events that happen to lead to the end point. I'm just sort of observing what went down and giving you my 3D commentary on it. The issues that appear in the 3D reality between Steve and me, amongst probably other things I'm not thinking of, are that one of the things is that Steve has always not wanted to commit to me. Now, do I think that will always be the case? I don't really have an opinion on it. I certainly don't expect him to continue to do that. That said, I was neither shocked nor surprised when, at the end of this period of time we spent together, that he wasn't ready to make a commitment. That follows logically what, has happened historically. And the difference is that I intended to find a way past the impasse. I at least allowed myself to believe that there's a way past this impasse where we do friends, way more than friends, and that's as far as it ever goes, essentially. My intention is to work with, and by the way, I realize this is not Neville Goddess. This is reality transurfing. But my approach to this was not, although I did do this, my approach to this was not visualize the end and ignore everything that happens between now and then, which has never been how I've done anything. Visualization and intention and certainty has been a tool, but I've always used this like in conjunction with my actual real life. I think a lot of people read Neville and they think they're going to snap from one reality to another. Like all of a sudden you leave your old life behind and now all you ever do is imagine outcomes and then sit like a monk while everything passes you by. That hasn't been my experience. My experience has essentially been living the life that I know and applying all of this stuff in the background. And that's what I've done here, essentially. I haven't spent a lot of time like fervently focusing on a specific outcome with Steve. If I had done that, I don't know, maybe things would be different. But all I did with Steve was acknowledge that we have this cycle that continues to play out and that I'm playing a role in it playing out that way. My role is participating, number one, and number two, having an idea that we have an impasse that we can't get past. And so that thing was the important part for me. Changing my mind about having a problem that the creative juice of the universe cannot find a way to fix. That was I hadn't really thought of that, but I mean, when I realized that I could just allow, everything that makes everything else in my life work, come in and fix this issue with Steve, I decided to go that route. So, I'm not surprised that things sort of this cycle played out again. I'm not surprised by it. It doesn't mean that, everything isn't working perfectly. It doesn't mean that we don't get through the impasse. And I'm pretty sure that I said that at the end of the video, I think. I'm pretty sure that whatever orchestrated this no commitment preview of the future immediately after I changed my mind about the impasse, being permanent, I'm pretty sure whatever created that and put it out there for us can and will continue to create a path to the future. But here's another thing about this, and it's just something to take into consideration because we're talking about, we're talking about combining woo-woo magic here essentially with real life, right? I mean, of course, no, it's not really woo-woo, I don't mean that, but we're talking about trying to combine the two. Like, that's what this channel is about for me. It's not talking Neville theory or, regurgitating what somebody said in a book. I'm taking it and I'm saying, here's what's happening as it actually gets applied. And, a part of this that people I don't think talk about very much is that sometimes you stop wanting things, how dedicated it comes down to, really, for me, you know, am I 100% sure that I want to continue to go down this path? You know, that's the thing. Like, you know, desire wanes, and it's another reason that I wanted to make that video, because I don't know that the desire necessarily, you know, I don't think you can know necessarily what the thing you're following your heart towards is going to lead you to. It doesn't necessarily always take you where you think it's going to go. And I don't know, that's where I'm at with the Steve thing. My mind is open to a lot. My mind is open to the end result of us being able to be in each other's lives just as friends. However, that would, in order for me to do that, I would have to legitimately not have any romantic feelings for him, because I'm simply not going through this cycle again. And when I say that, the sense of it being the right thing just washes over my solar plexus. Like, I know what I did here is the right thing. And, you know, I don't know, I think a lot of people discount that you don't really know how these things happen. Like, this situation right now where I said I'm going to exit may very well be the next step in the thing that Steve needs in order to get to the right place. And I think this is a really bad thing that comes out of people reading A Course in Miracles, Neville Goddess, is that people seem to think that if you just think hard enough, then whatever your outer circumstances will change right now in 3D. And I think this leads a lot of people to stay in abusive relationships. That's the worst part that kills me about this. That definitely played a role in my life and in a relationship I was in my 20s. You know, you here in 3D making your decisions, that's not what this is about. This is about intending and allowing something that is a part of you, but that is way beyond you, to organize the events and getting the hell out of the way. And that's what I'm doing. I'm not going to, I'm not going to tell myself over and over again, Steve's not a commitment phobe. Steve, I don't even know that he is. I understand where he's coming from. And the issue right now is that he doesn't want to make a commitment. I haven't written him off at this point. I had. But, you know, my mind is open to whatever. My mind is open to the way forward. So, I don't know. I wanted to talk about that because, I don't know. Like, I don't know anybody who has, I don't know. I don't know anybody who's really harnessed all the creative power that's available, that also spent a lot of time fighting against something in 3D. Like, I did the right thing here and got out of the way. If there is a way forward, it's going to need to involve a different dynamic. And I don't have the capability to create that as a human. So, you know, I'm allowing something else to work on my behalf. And it's just so much easier this way. If I do have the ability to create this as a human, I'm not interested in doing it. I guess that's another way to put it. If I could make this whole thing happen by drilling into my brain that the situation is something other than it is, ain't nobody got time for that. That's where I'm coming from. My approach to all the things that I've been really successful at using, you know, visualizing and certainty and intention have been absolutely effortless. The only place that I'm willing to put in that kind of effort is on myself. I will spend all day putting effort into myself. But I will not do that for another person. So I wanted to qualify my last video and this channel in general with that, because you should know where I'm coming from when I talk about this. And what I just said is exactly my exact same attitude towards money and my physical body. And in both of those areas, I've done nearly the impossible if you compare me statistically to the rest of the population. So this is just one way, and there are lots and lots and lots of ways to do the same thing. So if I say accidentally you can't do something this way or it's not possible, you have to remember that I'm a human being, and you know, my mind is not a field of daisies. It's still got beliefs, it's got ideas about the way things are, and you know, you have to listen to what people say about stuff and filter it through your experience and see if it applies to you.